Welcome to Bridge the Atlantic. We are your hosts, music web designer Ross Barber
and singer-songwriter Marcio Novelli.
This week we're joined by Boston-based singer-songwriter Skylar Kergil. Skylar is a transgender singer-songwriter, activist, educator, writer, and artist currently living in Boston. Most often known on the internet as his pseudonym Skylark or Skylarkeleven, he began documenting his transition on YouTube in 2009 when he began hormone therapy. As a result of his vlogs and written blogs, he's been invited to speak at numerous events across the United States. Skylar's latest EP, Tell Me a Story, was released earlier in 2015, and there's more music on the way. We're looking forward to hearing more about Skylar's story and finding out what the new EP has in store. So, hey, Skylar.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Hi.
You're welcome. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
We're good. I'm having trouble
speak
speaking today.
He's having problems speaking, and just like, what else are you having problems with, Ross? Like everything today?
Yeah, I think the day is kind of just caught up with me, and
it's
yeah,
so sad.
Oh.
So Skylar,
fine.
tell us, by the way, my son's name is Skylar.
Oh,
and my cat's name is Skylar.
So we
all have
such
Skylar connection.
Oh my gosh.
Tell us 3 things about yourself that everyone should know.
I have a cat named Tiger. That's very important. Sometimes I paint my toenails, or I have my housemate paint them because that's fun. And well, you already said that I was transgender, so I guess I'll just say that I identify as queer.
Perfect.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So we've talked a little bit about your background in the introduction, but I'd love to hear you maybe talk about your journey in your own words and maybe give us kind of an overview of your journey so far.
Oh yeah, totally. So I guess I came out for like the first official time when I was 15 as identifying as a boy at the time, as a man now. And that went pretty well for me. My family was slow but became supportive, even though my brother was hesitant. So it was an interesting journey, and my friends were supportive. So when I was 17 and a half, I began taking testosterone, which was very, very exciting. So I started making videos about it, about my voice dropping. And as someone who played music, because music really helped me deal with all the feelings that I had before I knew the word transgender. So trying to articulate it in music. And once I really started feeling my voice and everything, I put these videos out online and people started watching them, and I had no idea why. And so that's sort of how that began. And since then I've been, my voice has still been dropping for like 6 years. So I'm 24 now. And I think I'm finally at this point where I can sing, which is really exciting. So
I really like Tell Me a Story, by the way.
Really? Oh, I'm so glad.
I really like the lyrics in that. Very honest.
Yeah.
I have to give a quick shout out to Alan Vasquez on Twitter, because he was the one who introduced me to your music.
Yeah.
He's a big fan.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, so yeah. Hey Alan, if
That
you're
was
watching,
such an impromptu like shout out. That was just like out of nowhere. Again, this is
it just kind of came out of me. I had to do it while I
just like leaked.
while I was there.
Just leading with his heart always.
Always. That's what brought me to you, Marcio. That's
Always
why we did the show.
No, but seriously, that song. I'm a songwriter myself, and I think that it's so important to be vulnerable, and also, I mean, what sets like a true songwriter? I'm going to sound so pretentious here, so I'm going to be careful how I say this. But what separates a songwriter from someone who's just writing a song to sell? You know what I mean? Is honesty, I think, and vulnerability, and telling a story that no one else can really tell exactly the way you can tell it. You know what I mean? So that's why I like that. I really like it, and it's very honest lyrics, and it almost has a lighthearted nature to it at the same time, which was really neat. I found.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you're obviously very passionate about LGBT rights and advocacy, and I want to know, how does this tie into your music beyond maybe Tell Me a Story?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've always sort of written activisty songs. Like, I've been inspired by a lot of folk musicians, mostly like acoustic punk musicians, like when I was in high school, and they would write like a lot about, current like civil rights and everything. And so I got really into writing songs about LGBT rights for my friends, and then for myself and my community. And I really find that it's a great way to express that. Like, my friend Ryan Casado writes like a lot of activisty like songs, like about the things that he's passionate about, and he's like a big inspiration for that, because I love that power, and you don't really hear it on the radio as much. So like, I love finding other artists that are doing similar things too.
Quick question for you. So Ross always says LGBT, and I'm always like LGBTQ.
Oh, yeah.
A few of my friends are very particular about having the Q in there. And then some other people are particular about having the I and A in there as well. Where do you kind of stand on that?
I mean, I just tend to just stop it at LGBT, but I just want people to know that I'm inclusive of everything.
Exactly,
It's a lot of letters.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So it's getting hard to say, right?
Yeah, that's the kind of approach.
Like you can say it like as a word. It'd be so much easier. But.
Right. I think the perspective should be like you're included, like not left out.
I think that's why the Q was put in there though, because Q kind of.
You could just it's the blanket.
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. Cool.
So you're working on a new EP.
Yeah.
I want to know about it. Tell us. Can you give us anything exclusive that no one else has?
Come on, give us the goods.
Yeah. So actually, yeah, definitely, because and it's okay because I accidentally told him that I was doing this, so I only leaked it to him, but no one else really knows this. Is that I'm writing a song for one of my best friends who's finally getting top surgery this December, and he's always loved my music, and he had a really rough last year, so I wrote this song that's like basically about like love, and it's made audiences like that I've played around here like cry when they hear it. So but I have to like keep it under wraps until he has his surgery, so that he can be like the first person who knows like what it is and that it's about him and it's for him for that.
So you probably shouldn't mention it on a podcast or anything like that.
No, but I accidentally was like, it was in my dream, and then I texted him being like, oh man, like I'm writing the song about you, and then he said like, oh, I can't wait until I take my first breath. And I was like, oh man, that's the first lyric of the song. That's so weird.
No way.
Yeah, that was yesterday actually. Yeah. But like, so he knows, but he doesn't know now.
Right.
Cool. Awesome.
We have a special listener question actually.
Yeah, from Alan.
There you go.
He would like to know what kind of got you into doing music, and how have you followed through with your music as life has progressed?
Yeah, totally. I'd say that my dad really got me into music. Like my mom, she likes songs, like we like Jack Johnson together, but otherwise she's not a music explorer. Whereas my dad sort of played in some jam bands, so he always was sort of trying to push instruments on me and my brother, and I was the one that was like picking them up. So he really inspired me to start with like the basic 4 chords, and then from then on, I just found that it was a great way to express my poetry, because I write like a lot of poetry and a lot of words and like a lot of feelings in my head that I just wrote down as words, and then to put them to music was just like so many more opportunities and ways to really, express how I was feeling. So that's how I got into it.
So how do you feel your music has changed over the last few years?
Oh, I definitely feel like I take it more seriously now. I used to just sing and just, I'd be like, oh, I'm definitely flat, or oh, I'm definitely sharp, or oh, that doesn't sound good. But I don't care. It's the words that matter. And now I've started to care about the notes because my friends are inspiring me to care more about that. And I find that I can sing them, which is really exciting. And that's why Tell Me a Story was like a huge deal, because my friends really helped push me in the studio. So that was cool. And so I'd say, yeah, like, as I'm moving forward, it's just got, I think, more maturity to it, maybe like a little bit more depth, and more than the same 4 chords. Yeah.
Sometimes that's all you need, though.
Well, yeah.
Sometimes you don't even need 4. Sometimes 3. You can just have, or 2.
Well,
or
that would
very
be
rarely, very rarely 2.
You're really skilled. You can do 1 chord.
Sure, it's been done. We need to research this better.
Yeah.
So you've definitely built a very strong and loyal following on YouTube. If there's any other artists that, if there's any other artists, of course, every other artist wants to build a following on YouTube. What sort of advice would you give, not just artists, but to YouTubers in general, and who'd like to do the same? Yeah,
absolutely. Well, I mean, I'd say it kind of goes back to what you were saying earlier about, the differences between songwriters and people that write songs for, whatever purpose, is this vulnerability and this honesty. And I really find that through my, my YouTube channel and the things that I create, that just continuing to be, 100% myself and to express things, at some points I haven't been able to say certain things, but to most of the time, like, allow myself to be vulnerable and to be honest with my audience, like whether it's I haven't written any songs because it was a really hard winter, or here's like 5 new songs because I'm just like on a songwriting binge, and just be honest with me, I know probably at least one of them is the worst thing you've ever heard. So it's just like, it's really great, and I think that it's with that honesty and with that vulnerability and just being so, they'll feel like you're so much closer to them, like you're not just on the screen. And that's so important, because for your fans that are getting to know this intimate part of you, like, you want to feel as close to them as possible.
Yeah, it's not always easy though.
Yeah.
You know, like, well, you mentioned that there's some things that you haven't been able to express. I'm not going to ask you to say that now because obviously, but like, where do you draw the line? Because if there's a few things, is there a reason you haven't been able to express it? Is that because your own boundaries, or is that for another particular reason?
Yeah, I was thinking about this the other day, actually. I think it's mainly because there are certain things in my life that if I were to share them with, my, followers and the general public, they could actually hurt or haunt someone else. And I don't have that person's permission. So I've gotten to this place where I've, even written and shared like a song that was about, it was about my brother, and it was a really great song. It was very vulnerable, and he was fine with it. But I think that overall, and in the end, I felt sort of weird about the fact that, it does make him vulnerable. So that's not, just my own vulnerability. So that's what I sort of mean about certain things that, I don't really want to share. But I think for like creators who do want to, get to that point of feeling like they can share things and feeling vulnerable, like something that I did recently was I just said to, my followers, like on a Facebook post, being like, I was thinking about making a video about this, and here's like some details about it, but it's really sensitive. How do you guys feel about that? And like, within a few hours, like hundreds of comments, like,
which video is this?
It's videos that I made, actually. Like, I have this like sexually transmitted infection.
I just watched that one. Yeah, I think that was amazing that you, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but I thought that was amazing that you just put it all out there, because it drops the stigma. I mean, if someone gets an infection, any other kind of infection, there's no stigma, there's no embarrassment to it. But if it's an STI, suddenly like, let's not talk about it. Sorry, go on. I wanted to commend you for that.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it was hard, but I've felt, and that's the other thing, is like I felt infinitely better since I shared those 2 videos about it. I've honestly been looking at my body and feeling less stressed about it, being like, you know what, even if this takes a few months to go away, like I feel like it was a huge weight off my shoulders. So, but yeah, what I did was I basically asked them, this is really sensitive, and here's some videos I'm thinking about making about it. How do you feel about that? They were so receptive to it, and so that really helped me feel like, if I put this out there might be like 1 or 2 haters, but the majority are going to be supportive. And so that helped, that was asking them ahead of time. So it was kind of building that,
And it starts a conversation, and it starts, it breaks the stigma. It's as simple as that.
Yeah,
by doing that, you know what I mean? Like you haven't helped break enough stigmas yet. You're going that much further, you know what I mean? And it's important. Yeah. It really is important. People shouldn't be embarrassed about things like that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and I totally was, and I was like, I am so feeling probably what everyone.
I would be too, though. I mean, like, that's the thing. That's how we're conditioned, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I remember reading on Facebook, because I had to do quite a bit of Facebook and Twitter stalking for a section that's coming up. This will all make sense soon. But I saw that you were invited to the White House for an event. I can't remember exactly when it was. It was pretty recently, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was in, I think it was like July, end of July.
Yeah, tell us about that, because that must be like, because how many people are invited to the White House? Really,
everyone, pretty much.
Yeah, it was extraordinary. It was for like I don't know, I guess Obama is the first president to host this like LGBT Pride Month reception to really celebrate the like LGBTQ Pride and IAP everything. So me and my best friend actually went down there, and there was like about maybe like 300 or 400 other activists or people that have been doing incredible work across the country, who we got to meet and be there to witness him speak. And it was truly wild. I got invited the day before, so
wow.
Yeah.
Cool. Because I've been to the White House. I've been in the same way that everyone's been, in that I could look at it from outside, and I took a picture, and I've not been inside.
Yeah, but you're not telling me the part where Obama's like, Ross, is that you? And went in and hung up with Obama. He's just too modest.
Imagine that, me and Obama being best friends. I mean, I remember when
Obama. It's so.
I remember when he got elected. It was my final year of college, and we were walking home. And every person I met, I was like high-fiving them. I was like, "Happy Obama Day!" And everyone was like, "What?" And because I stayed up all night to watch it.
I was so teary-eyed when he won, actually, because it was just so monumental. And then when he made his first speech about LGBT rights, like I think it was like 3 years ago or something like that. But his first like public like speech, and I think it was also when he was reelected, he made a point of speaking about that and how important equality is and everything. I can't help but get overwhelmed with emotion with stuff like that. Just like. Finally, it's still a lot of progress to make, but it's progress.
Totally. Yeah.
Very cool. I just want to get a little bit deeper here and just ask you, what do you think the biggest misconception What's the biggest misconception, in your opinion, that exists in the transgender community?
Yeah, totally. I think like one of the biggest misconceptions, like from the general public as well as even within the trans community, would be that there's certain requirements to identify as transgender. And so I guess like what I mean by that is like some people will try and enforce this, like you must have known at a young age, or if you just are coming out now at 30 but you've never expressed this before, like it can't be true, or oh, you don't want to have surgery, then you're not really transgender, or things like that, where it's assumed that there's like one narrative. And so I think that the biggest tool that there is out there is books and media, where you can learn about so many different stories and like the unique paths that are taken. And I think one of the things that's hardest within the trans community related to that is comparing one's transition to another's, because everyone has access to things that they might want to do, even if it's just changing their name, or even if it's coming out like at certain points in their life. So everyone is different, and it's important to not put people like on like, oh, you're more this and less that, and I need to be more of this and less of that, or that's not fair, you're not trans, things like that. I think the most important thing is like, just like cisgender people, like everyone is so different. So
that's it. Yeah. Exactly, that's the point. I think that's beautifully put. It's as individual just as anybody else's journey, right? You're a person, and I can't even say much more about it because I don't want to speak for you, but you're just a person. We're all just people. Like,
right?
I think people just need to friggin' realize that.
Yeah. I know, it's kind of ridiculous. Yeah, people are gonna look back on these times and be like, I can't even believe that. I'll be like, children, when I was your age, like gender equality didn't exist, and people that were transgendered were not given rights, and they'll be like, what?
You know what? That's kind of similar to like when I was really young. Just homosexuality was just a taboo thing, and I remember really in high school, I was like, my friends and I were very, very pro equality, pro gay, and everything like that, and it was very taboo at the time. And I used to always get this like, well, are you gay? And it's like, do I have to be black to care about black rights?
Right?
Can I not just care about human rights? And I see I have a few younger cousins that they've grown up in at least it's particularly in Canada, where it's just homosexuality is, it is what it is, whatever, right? And so that's great to see that different generation grow up with such an what's the word I'm looking for, not just respect but acceptance of it. And I'm hoping that by the next generation it'll be the same thing. It's based on us when we have kids and raising our kids to just understand that people are of all different walks of life, and they're just going to realize that it's just a normal thing, and that will carry on. You're always going to have the people that are behind like 200 years, like people that are still racist.
I've definitely noticed a difference in the last like even like 5 or 10 years or so. I can totally see a difference.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And maybe it's just maybe more people are speaking up now in favor of, rather than being against. But I've definitely noticed a difference. And it's a good thing, at least in this country. I know there's a lot of places that need work.
Canada's. I want to ask just before we wrap up here again. I want to ask how you feel like each country, like where we're all from, kind of stacks up, because I know in Canada, generally speaking, well, particularly in Toronto's a very, very liberal city, and the diversity is what just is amazing about it. There are people do have the misconception that Canada is like a very safe. I guess relatively speaking, it is, but there are a lot of shitty things that happen in Canada too. But I think the general consensus, the general feeling is just multicultural, personal, I guess. I can't think of the words, but just accepting people, generally speaking, right? Ross, what's it like in Scotland and in the UK generally? What's the general vibe and attitude towards LGBTQ?
Generally very good. More so in the bigger cities, like when you get to like the kind of smaller, more rural places, you maybe run into some problems, and unfortunately a lot of that has to do with them being more religious places.
I'm gonna say it straight up, totally.
But in the larger cities, it's you don't even really think twice. It's just
it's interesting. I love that you brought religion into play. Usually we don't get into this just to keep all our audience happy. But that I think, unfortunately, and I'd actually like to ask your opinion on this. Well, actually, first, please tell me, like, what do you feel like the general consensus is in America? Because I know it's not that great, and maybe like in your state versus the rest of America, what do you feel like? Where do you think it's at?
Well, the state that I'm in was the first state to legalize gay marriage. So
wow, I didn't know
yeah,
that.
yeah. So
Wow,
so
that's amazing.
so basically, they also were one of the first to put gender like identity into protections as well, because not that many states have it. So I'd say where I live has a lot of resources and a lot more education. But I'd say, you know, like you said, with religious areas, like in the South, they are a bit behind from what I've seen. And so I'd say that the opinion is kind of split. Like there's probably a lot of people who are supportive of transgender people, or people that are just neutral about it and just are like, well, they can just do whatever, but like I don't understand it. And then I would also say that on the other end of the spectrum, there is like still quite a few people that are violent, you know. Like every other day I hear about a trans woman like somewhere in America getting, you know, hurt. It's not as bad as in Brazil, but you know, it's still pretty.
Is it really bad? I'm not familiar enough to know. It's really bad in Brazil.
I believe that Brazil had like quite an enormous amount in comparison, but of transgender murders. But they also do have a large transgender population as well. So it could just be.
So you're trying to like ratio-wise.
Yeah, but I don't think it's that. I think it's culturally like kind of acceptable to do that. You know, so.
Well, you know, again, just to say religion again, you know, to each their own and everything. But I think it's if someone has a problem with something, you know, a lot of times it just comes down to a religious belief or you know, some sort of taught belief, you know, rather than someone believing for themselves. And it's just so. Nothing infuriates me more than that, you know. I mean, just to use one religion of many, but actually I'm not even going to talk about specific religions, but generally speaking, a religion is supposed to teach peace.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And love. And actually, I'm going to use like Jesus as an example. I'm not a religious person. I don't follow any particular religion, but I was raised by a Catholic family, so I'm very familiar with that. And, you know, Jesus himself loved everyone, man.
Yeah.
His best friend was a prostitute. I mean, like, come on, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I know. That's how I feel too.
I just want to shake people.
You know? Right. I think it just comes down to like whether it's religion or whether it's something that parents have just said repetitively, like around you, or that your peers have said around you. It's like it just becomes an excuse to not open your mind. It's an excuse to not see things from a different perspective. Like, oh, you've been taught that, you know, there's only like a man should be with a woman and only like vice versa. But what you're not seeing is that like, look, like, I don't know, we don't even have sex. We just love each other because we love each other, you know, like, and you understand this story and they're just still like, no, because they have this like excuse to just rooted excuse. And so, you know, I hope that someday like religion will just, you know, I feel like there's less and less of that. I honestly do feel like it is infiltrating, you know, those conversations and those churches and those religions. And I think that like people are welcoming it. And the people that aren't, I feel like might have to, you know, have their own little space.
You know what? I love your positivity. I love how No, I really do, and I really like your optimism. You know, because I think we really need that. We really need that in all different avenues, but we really need that, especially in this sort of conversation, is to notice the changes and to keep moving on that kind of energy. So, you ready for 20 questions?
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be fun.
This is what Ross stalked you for, so.
Okay.
Yeah, but don't worry, it's fine. I'll start this one.
Okay.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Meat or veggies?
Veggies.
Yes.
CD or vinyl?
Vinyl.
Twitter or Facebook?
Facebook.
Mac
or PC?
Wait.
Mac.
Did I just say Twitter or Facebook?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I just messed up.
Take over.
I broke the 20 questions. Go ahead, Ross. Sorry.
Yeah. Cool. So it's Mac or PC.
Sorry. Oh, Mac.
Yoga or yogurt?
Yogurt.
Breaking Bad or Orange is the New Black?
Orange is the New Black.
Oh, so good. Gotta ask you, have you ever seen Wentworth?
No.
It's kind of like I'm going to say it's the Australian version of Orange is the New Black, but it's just like a similar like setting and everything. But it's more dramatic. Check it out. It's pretty cool.
Sounds good.
You might like it. Orange is the New Black is awesome. What did you think of the third season?
Okay, so we still have 2 more episodes. Don't say anything.
I won't say anything, but what are you thinking so far?
It's you know, I'm really happy with the way that they're going into the storylines here. It's a little crazy. A lot of people
are hating on the third season, and I actually think it's great. It's a little more lighthearted this season.
But if you think about it, for other TV shows, the third season usually is so bad. So in comparison, usually third seasons are like, so this one is actually like excellent, like considering.
See, I've enjoyed it. I quite like that everyone else is getting a bit more time to shine. Like it's less about Piper.
Yeah, I was done with her. Yeah.
I think everyone hates Piper now.
Yeah, everyone hates
No,
her.
actually, I think without giving anything away, you probably noticed that they've kind of shifted some characters in the third season a little bit in different directions, which I think is really smart. And even Piper, the way her character's changed in the third season, I thought she was hilarious in the third season.
She is doing some pretty hilarious things. Yeah.
Like, have you seen, her whole speech? Without giving too much away, her whole speech that she steps on the.
Yeah.
That was good.
That was just like
that was really
one
good.
of my favorite Orange is the Black moments. Right?
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah. So, Bright Eyes or Annie DeFranco?
Ooh, Bright Eyes.
Indie or major?
Indie.
Now, this is personal. Canada, where I'm at, or Scotland, where Ross is at?
Canada.
Sorry, Ross. Finally, I win one. Ross is
I've
always
been to
winning.
Canada. It was nice.
Where were you?
I was just going to ask if you could explain your answer.
he's a fan. Where in Canada have you been?
Toronto and Montreal.
When were you in Toronto?
I was there for a concert, probably like 4 months ago, and then also like when I went to Niagara Falls.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
It's too bad you weren't able to make it to World Pride last year.
No,
It was awesome.
so
So
cool.
Tegan and Sarah played. Oh,
Yeah.
so awesome. Anyway, sorry, I don't mean to rub it in.
But I want to come to Scotland, so.
Meh.
Everyone wants to come to Scotland, but apparently not enough to actually come here. They all say they want to come here, and then it's like...
Next question.
Oh, is it me? Oh, yeah.
It is you.
Okay. Friends or Seinfeld?
Ooh, Seinfeld,
Heroes or The Walking Dead?
The Walking Dead,
Kelly Clarkson or Kelly Osbourne?
Kelly Clarkson.
Taylor Swift or Taylor Not So Swift? No, I'm kidding. Taylor Swift or Taylor Lautner?
Taylor Swift. I love her so much. I love you, Taylor.
She watches
Michael-
the show every week. So.
Good.
Oh, yeah, she totally does. Yeah. She never tweets about it, though.
I know. She's just
She
kind of like,
would.
she's kind of indie
Casual.
like that. She's just like,
Just
I'm
creeping
not
in
going to
the
like just go
corner.
tell everyone.
Michael Jackson or Michael Bolton?
Ooh, Michael Bolton.
Oh,
Yes, someone finally said the
got
Bolt.
one!
Yeah.
No, why'd you pick Michael Bolton? I think this answer needs an explanation. I'm
Honestly,
sorry,
honestly, my affiliation with Michael Bolton is like meh. But like I just had this like bad taste in my mouth thinking of saying Michael Jackson because I recently was thinking about like I don't know, like love him, but I was just recently was thinking about some negatives about him.
Like
Yeah.
what?
Just all the bad stuff, like that happened. I like was reading an article and someone brought it up like in the comments like for some reason and I was like, wow, way to like dig that back into my mind. Yep.
Jesus.
Sorry. Yep.
It's okay. Ross was raised by Michael Bolton. And when I say this,
Oh,
I mean
really?
literally like Michael Bolton was his stepdad. No, he
No,
was
no, no,
raised
no,
on
no.
listening. I'm
Amazing.
joking.
No.
He was
Oh.
raised
Yeah.
listening to Michael Bolton.
Yeah, my mum listened to Michael Bolton all the time. So like my sister and I grew up with my brother as well, but mostly my sister and I because we're older. So yeah, we were totally listening to Michael Bolton
My
all
mom
the
too.
time.
She was like in love with Michael Bolton. Like she
Yeah.
loved his hair. She loved everything about him, the cheesy power grabs and everything. And
Oh, of course.
And he did the Hercules theme song.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Feel the distance.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
you're right. That's why I chose him.
Marcia's upset because this is the longest we've ever talked about Michael Bolton on the
You're
show.
This was never supposed to happen.
Twerk or work?
Work.
That's not as
Ricky-
fun.
Ricky Gervais or Ricky Martin?
Ricky Martin. I mean, he should have a comeback.
He has
Whale?
come back, hasn't he?
Well, not well enough for me to notice, obviously.
Honestly, I'm pretty sure he was on a TV show
I
here
don't know.
performing, and everyone was just like, "Oh, Ricky Martin's back," and everyone was like, "All right,
Really?
okay."
If Ricky Martin comes back and I don't notice, did Ricky Martin really come back?
Apparently not.
Now I'm gonna have to go to YouTube after this and find him.
Whale or kale?
Kale.
Good for you.
I also have like 5 friends named Kale. Hi.
Are you serious? Nice.
Yeah. Actually, all of them are trans too.
Well, there
so
you go.
They just want to be the leafy green vegetable. Yep.
Bette Midler or the Riddler?
Oh, I guess the Riddler.
And the
I don't-
final question. Sorry, what was that?
Said I don't know why. I just like the way it sounded better.
It does. It sounds good, right? The Riddler.
Yeah.
Now, the final question is actually meant to make you feel uncomfortable and awkward because we're jerks. And now you have to pick between Ross or Marcio.
Oh, well, I'm gonna pick Ross because I need to come to Scotland and I need a place to stay.
Picks? Everyone picks Ross.
Really? Well, I picked Canada for you.
Oh, it's so funny.
Too. They're like, I pick Canada.
You got
But
Canada.
I'm not Canada, man. Oh, okay. Let me just.
I'm sorry, Marcio.
It's okay.
I
You're the
still
better
Like,
looking
look
one.
more hurt, you know? Like,
What's that?
Look more hurt. He was like,
No, I'm not
Like,
really hurt. I'm not really hurt.
yeah, you look fine.
A little bit.
You might not, so I had to pick you.
So let's change the subject. Do you have any recommendations? It can be music, film, books, art, anything.
Yeah, I mean, right now I'm listening to this artist who is doing some really interesting things. His name is Sam Dew, D-E-W, and he just opened for this other amazing artist named Rin Weaver, who I both really love right now. Yeah, they have this really great, like, indie, but just still, like, raw vibe, but it's combined with, like, electronic music, which I've really gotten into. And so, I don't know, I'm being really inspired by that as of late. And then, book-wise, I honestly am reading like 17 books right now. It's a little ridiculous, but some of my favorite authors are Chuck Palahniuk, and I'm reading like his new book, but it's really creepy, so I recommend Fight Club instead, just to start off
Chuck
with.
Palahniuk,
Yeah, like the newest book is like, whoa, I got it at the airport, and I was like reading it on the plane, and I was like, I shouldn't be reading this in public.
Was it naughty?
It's really naughty.
Have you ever,
Yeah.
have you ever read Choke?
Yes.
Some of the scenes in that, man, I'm like, oh, wow.
It's like,
I need a breather.
Yeah, it's like, what is
He
going on?
writes, he crosses he walks the thin line between fiction and erotica.
Yeah, no, this one is like pure erotica, and I'm
What's
just
it called?
like, ooh, it's called Beautiful You.
Really?
You need to if you love Chuck, you gotta witness it. Like, as a loyal fan, you gotta read it. So
Yeah.
but other than that, I really love the movie that I watch like on the regular is Frozen. I love Frozen.
I've never seen it.
It's so good. It's so good.
What's it with Skylar's and like in Frozen? Because my son like loves it.
Maybe my cat will too.
Yeah, maybe you have to put it on for your cat. There we go.
Yeah, you have to watch it with all the Skylars. It's so good. I've watched it like 20 times actually, and I've never watched a movie more than like twice, except for Jurassic Park, because that's also an exception.
I've done that with Fight Club and Requiem for a Dream. I've
I've done
watched
it
too many times.
Yeah,
Which one? Fight Club or Requiem?
Both of them, because one of my friends
great
really
film.
liked Requiem, and so that was like the
So
first
good.
movie I ever watched twice. Yeah,
Oh, so good. Oh, I've watched it a little more than twice, but
like 2 times that.
more like 50 plus. Not even joking. Yeah.
Probably
It
like
was
Do you
a
know
dark
word
time
for
in my
word?
life. What's that? Do I know word for word? A lot of it. Yeah, I know a lot of word for word in those movies. So this has just been fantastic. I could talk to you for hours and hours and just
I know, me too.
and
It's
just
fun.
ask you so many questions, and but keep doing what you're doing, keep spreading love, and keep sharing your story because we're all loving it.
Thank you.
Cool. And now, if now your music can be found on Bandcamp, and do you post much music on YouTube, or is that's more your blogs?
It's more my blogs. I do them sometimes. I do music.
Right. So you can find him on Skylar. Where is this? I'm trying to read this. Right.
Skylarkergil.com,
There it is.
and Bandcamp is skylarkergil.bandcamp.com, and YouTube is youtube.com/Skylarkeleven.
Yep.
Perfect. And if you want to know what I'm up to and listen to my music, go to marcianovella.com.
And if you want to see what I'm up to, you can find me at electrickiwi.co.uk.
Awesome. Thank you so
Awesome.
much. Come back
Thank
again
you.
soon, okay?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks for watching Bridge the Atlantic. If you like what you saw, make sure to like, favorite, and most importantly, subscribe so that you don't miss each week's episode.
Click on the videos above us if you'd like to see more, and please feel free to leave us a comment letting us know what you think of the show.
Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and subscribe to us on iTunes so that you can listen to us on the go. Thanks again for being awesome, and we'll see you on next week's episode.